Hi everybody! So today I have a combined book and movie review for you. And we're going to be talking about The Martian. And I'll talk about the book first. I read the book before I saw the movie. Always a little cautious when I hear of the new popular book. But I decided to go ahead and read The Martian. And I loved it. The thing that I love the most about The Martian is you can tell that it wasn't written by a professional author, that it was written by this engineer. Because one thing I hate in modern novels is that there's this tendency to always give your characters either this really obvious flaw in their character or to make them kind of mopey and sad and that somehow that's more like realistic than having a character that I want to root for and that's a likable person. I find it so rare that a character is somebody that I just like. And that's the greatest thing about this book is that this is a nice guy. Imagine that. It's actually a book about a nice person. This is so exciting. And that's an adult. You know, sometimes there's nice kids, but you almost never read a book about a nice adult. And basically, like the story, of course, of The Martian, if you haven't heard, it's about this astronaut who in a storm is left behind on Mars. And basically, like, it's a log about how he survives. It's completely captivating and charming, and he's so funny and he's optimistic, and you really are rooting for him the whole time. That, you know, just something I never thought that I would be so captivated by somebody growing potatoes in a book, like, but it's totally captivating. Just these little things, he's presented these challenges, and he, through his ingenuity and his creativeness and his intellect, he's able to figure it out. And things in general actually pretty much go his way, but then there's things that don't. So that makes it surprising. And then you also get to know the characters back home that they're battling, like how much should we spend, how much should we invest into getting this guy home? And, you know, is one person sort of worth it in all of it? And so that's sort of the general theme of the book is that, yes, one person actually really matters. I loved the book. It does have a fair amount of language. So if you're sensitive to that, there's certainly there's no sex, there's no real violence, it's just language would be the only concern if you're worried about that. So then what do I think about The Martian, the movie? I loved the movie too. I thought it was great. It's already number 2 on my favorites of the year, and I would be shocked if anything bumps it up. We'll see. You never know. But I thought it was so great. They totally captured the spirit of the book. I was worried that the movie would amplify his problems and the things he has to deal with, but they really don't. I mean, they keep it on these sort of small things that are part of his survival. And so, like, you're so excited in the movie when he grows potatoes. That's so cool, you know, it's just basically he faces one problem and then he faces another problem and another problem and another problem. And they have such an amazing cast. Matt Damon does a great job. He's so likable, totally captured the likable, endearing, funny charm of Mark in the book. Surround him with such an amazing cast. Like, I don't know how they got such great actors to just be these tiny roles. And they do such a good job, probably better than the book, honestly, in fleshing out some of these minor characters that I thought that for how little time some of these characters got, like the Donald Glover character or the Sean Bean character or even the Jeff Daniels character who was the head of like NASA, that would have been so easy to make him just like a jerk boss, you know, just a throwaway. But like you really do see his dilemma and that he's trying to make things work just for now for Mark, and he loves Mark, but he's also trying to make things work for the future of NASA. And so he's not just like some jerk off. And I thought that Ejiofor was really good, and he was kind of him and Sean Bean were kind of Mark's voices at NASA. And all the other team reminded me a lot of how in Apollo 13, all those side characters at NASA, and they're all kind of important to making it all happen. And so they kind of have the same sort of the way that we're like really invested in these small moments and these small victories with Mark. We're also invested in that way in the scenes at home and also the scenes with his crew, which consists of Jessica Chastain, Michael Pena, Kate Mara, and a couple other people. And they were really good too, totally believable. It felt like a real authentic relationship, the way that the dialogue was written between them. Just a movie that by the end, I literally wanted to stand up and cheer, and the whole theater was just so invested in it. It's a cliche to say, but I literally was on like the edge of my seat, like, and glad that they kept Mark as this just likable guy. He's somebody that you want to be friends with. You wish that it was real because you'd want to meet this guy, and you wish that it was real because all of these nations gathering together and all supporting this one person. And it totally got that right about the book, and as far as the feeling of like the value of one person. People keep comparing this movie to Gravity. People are comparing this movie to Interstellar. And it's really nothing like those. Gravity is a thriller. It's awesome. It's a thriller where like the villain is space. And you have this pedestrian who's trying to figure out what to do. So great. I love it. And then Interstellar is basically, Interstellar is more like the Tree of Life than it is like The Martian. Treatise on the sort of the value of mankind and the meaning of the world and the cosmos and everything else. And I think it's beautiful, and I loved it, and sort of the eternal nature of relationships that you get in Interstellar. Aside from being in space and having Matt Damon marooned on a planet, there's really no similarity between Interstellar and The Martian. I guess it's pretty similar to Apollo 13. With the exception, of course, that was like a real story, and this is a fictional. Still, I know it's so much funnier than Apollo 13. And they did such a good job. Ridley Scott did such a good job like making Mars look really realistic. It doesn't feel like a green screen environment. It feels earthy. It feels like they could be at like the Grand Canyon or something like that. And he just did such a good job with pacing. This movie could have been boring, but he keeps it very, very tight, and it's very well edited. I can't imagine you not enjoying this movie. It's just so rootable, and it's it's like why you go to the movies, is to find people to root for and find people to cheer. Like that's a huge portion of going to the movies. I didn't see it in 3D, but I definitely recommend seeing it in the theaters because it's just one of those movies you want to be part of a crowd and you want to feel that cheering this person on and just all be sort of invested in it. So I loved it. I thought it was fabulous, and I highly recommend it. I can't recommend it highly enough to go and see. But let me know what you think, if you liked it, and if you liked the book. And please subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.